Right, today's video is a little something I made some years back. Can you tell what that is? I need a wide angle lens. You all know what this is already. Replica Egyptian lock. I've put a rubber band on there to stop the bolt from sliding out, because when it's not mounted in a door, because it has no springs, it's cut away. As it has no springs, it's only cut away with one pin, mind you. It has no springs, therefore it will not lock unless gravity assists. You can see the locking pin there, and the other one's not down. There's a third one at the back. If you look at the key, it goes in like that. So it's fully locked. There you go. More secure in earthquake zones, obviously. So this is now locked. This is effectively a cutaway. This is the door. So key goes in, scoops underneath, lifts up, and then becomes the pull as well. And back it goes. Dead easy. I've made this quite a long throw and added this pin underneath here to stop it overshooting that way, because obviously there's no door frame or anything. You'd probably find the real ones had something like that as well, just to make the pins align. And then lock it back up. You don't need the key. You just put your hand through the hole that you reach through with the key. There you go. Locked. That's it. So I made this one using just a power drill, because obviously why waste your time with a hand drill? But the ancients had bow drills many, many years ago. A basic saw and a chisel. I did make it from pine, so it's not exactly the most robust thing in the world, but that's a 2x, what's that, about 50 millimeters, 2 inches, 1, 2. So you wouldn't really kick that open very easily. The people inside the house would figure it out before anything happened. Picking wise, well, you're reaching through a hole round here, and then you've got to get up under here. You can't get your fingers in there, it's impossible. You can get your thumb in there, but you can't reach the pins. You'd have to have some kind of tool, some form of lockpick. And of course, you're doing this blind. You're in there trying to pick that. You've got to tension that, lift the pins, stop them falling back, and then hope that somebody inside the house doesn't cut your hand off. Because, you know, you can't tell. The door's locked, but was it locked from the inside or the outside? My little addition here was to make it easier to make. So this block here can be replaced with the key. So should you ever need to change the key and change the lock, I did make it slightly modular. So it's not exactly true to the original design, because I figured why drill all the way through all of that when you could just make a smaller block like that. Makes it far easier to fabricate. So I chopped that section out of there, put that block on top of this, put this inside, and then drilled straight through the whole thing, ensuring perfect alignment. And then I cheated again and used hot glue as opposed to any fancy joints. I mean, on the door you wouldn't even need anything in that square. It would literally just be one screw or anything, a bit of anything to just hold it in place while you mount it on the door, and it's held in place, clamped by this larger outer section. And yes, it is deliberately crude. This was done with one cut. So the cut through there was then rotated round onto there to make that into a single piece, or from a single piece. And then these are just basic pine dowels, as are those. The problem with using basic pine dowels was that they stick. When it gets wet and damp, they swell up slightly, and the lock doesn't operate. Like, it still operates, it just doesn't actually lock because there's nothing to drive the pins down. And we can see, if you look through the databases of old locks in ancient designs and ancient times, that as this lock moved from the sort of hotter climates of places like Egypt and moved north, you can see these get longer and longer and longer, and these slots get more and more sloppy. Of course, you can only go so far before it becomes impossible to use. And so eventually, by the time this reaches Scandinavia, these are in fact sliders. And it works as a slider lock instead of as a pin lock. The key goes in and lifts tabs on the pieces of wood, which are then pushed up and down. Because you have a very loose slot with a very long piece of wood in it, and it can't jam. You make this too wide, that pin can twist and jam. And you can already see that is quite loose in there, but it's still tight enough that it sticks if the lock's not completely vertical when you try and lock it. Anyway, so there you go. I'll just show you the other side of it. So this is what you'd see on the inside of the door. Obviously you'd see that's covered by the door frame or whatever, or there's another piece of wood exactly the same as this across there as the keep. And then this clear piece of plastic would be your door. So from the inside it would just look like that, and obviously you just mount it with a couple of bolts or screws or whatever you want to use there, or cut a mortise in and you slide the whole thing in sideways. There are many, many options, and it's very, very simple to make. Like, once you've had that inventive step and you know what you're doing, vaguely what you're doing, you can knock out 10 of these a day, easy. Secure the entire village. So there we go. If you're wondering, this is an old Ferro Roche box, which has been in service for at least a decade. I did make a video on actually making this. I filmed the whole thing, but that was so long ago that it's lost in the mist of time. Anyway, hope you enjoy. Let's give you one last quick demo. There you go. In it goes. Lift the pins. Back comes the bolt. You can have almost an unlimited throw on this as well. You know, forget your weedy 20mm bolt throw. On this thing you can go a handspan. Anyway, that's all from me. NKT out.